you go near the windows, take a look at what's going on in here.
This is the lieutenant.
This is the Senate.
The Senate.
And there's 50 members who are elected from all over the state of Indiana by the adults, everybody over 18, and vote. And they're elected to come down here and represent their districts. In each district, there's about 125 to 130,000 people. Each senator represents. They're elected for 4 years. They have to be 25 years old to run. House members, which will make a roundabout, there's 100 of them, and each one of them represents about 65,000 people each. And they're voted in for 2 years. So what you're looking at in there is a committee meeting on education.
I see.
The committee meetings are open to the public.
I see.
Usually what happens in a committee meeting is they take public testimony from, this is about education. So you might have teachers and principals or people who build schools come in and testify here. You might even have students. Sometimes as young as grade school will come in and testify. And that's the first step to making a law, is committee. And then is when it comes before the whole Senate or the whole House, where all the legislators vote, okay? So that's what they're doing in here, is holding a committee. But that room and the House of Representatives, they're not historical. They're half as large as they used to be, and not nearly as fancy as they used to be. They used to be fancy like the hallways. But in the 1940s, the late 1940s, they had cut down the size of the House and Senate. And they built offices all the way around both chambers. The building became overcrowded, and this happened in most states. But most states moved one branch of government out of their historic building. We still have all 3 branches of government here. So we'll walk around and we'll take a look at the house. Well, first we'll go on down to the office. Now, before we go into this office, I want to let you know that I already told you that our lieutenant governor is located up here because she's president of the Senate. But she also, there's a picture of her right there with the soldiers. She heads up Homeland Security for the state of Indiana, and she oversees housing and rural development, tourism, energy, and agriculture. Hence, we have this fancy blue pig out here. His name is Harley Hogg. Have you ever heard of the Harley Davidson motorcycle? Haven't you? They call them hogs. And that's probably because they take so much gas to run them, you think? But anyway, he's Harley Hogg. So we'll go on in here.
Excuse me.
Come on in. These folks are from Berkeley. They come a long ways. one of the more large offices in the building, and it's a very attractive office. Especially this beautiful display case made out of Indiana white oak, as all this wood is throughout the building. This is a typical fireplace, but the fireplace doesn't work. We don't allow fires. We don't want our state capitol building to burn down, right?
The fire doesn't work?
It does not work, it's blocked off.
Okay.
And one time we got a newly elected lieutenant governor who was unaware of that, and they built a fire.
Okay.
They decided they'd build a fire, brought their family in for Thanksgiving, and smoked the place out. So now they make sure, I think, and newly elected people know better.
Okay. So everyone knows, right? When you become lieutenant governor, you're going to make a fire.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and, you know, our lieutenant governor, with all her duties, still has a lot of ceremonial duties too. And that's why you see that shovel over there. She, you know, cuts a lot of ribbons and digs a lot of holes.
I see.
Okay? So we're going to go back out in the hallway and we're going to go see some other things. Oh, excuse me. So if you go on out in the hall, I'll meet you out there. Who knows, one of these little gifts could be from Berkeley.
We all are
Hey, hey, love it. Hey, come on, love it.
Jag tycker sist governor.
Yeah.
Let's make a walk around in front of the house and then we'll go up there. This is the House of Representatives we're walking by, and they're beginning another committee meeting over here. I forget what the subject matter is, but remember, this is not historical. It's not nearly as big as it used to be, and they're kind of crowded in here with 100 members. And we don't go into session until January, and they will come here and write the laws for the state of Indiana through April of this year, and that's their long session. So this is a part-time job. And those are the voting boards. The names of the legislators are listed up there, and those voting boards are connected to the buttons on the desk. And they'll press green for yes, I like this idea for a law, red for no. The painting, which you'll get a better look at when we go upstairs, you'd have to bend down to see it. It's been there since 1963, and it's all about Indiana. Our economy, our statehood, and education is the basic subjects. We do have a huge chandelier, but you'll get a better look at it. Let's go upstairs. That's a previous governor. called the Court of Appeals, we'll go see the Supreme Court. It's more interesting. They have 15 judges in here. All cases have to be appealed in this room, unless it's a death penalty or life without parole. Then it goes downstairs. But otherwise it has to come here first before it can be appealed downstairs. They can turn your appeal down in the Supreme Court. It's a discretionary court. But this is a small modern room, and I don't know what kind of system you have in Burma, but we have local courts that try people for crimes, and that's the first level of courts. And our Constitution says that everybody convicted of a crime has a second chance to appeal that decision. That's appealed in here. And so that's the way things work here. So we'll go on down. We'll go in the house. But before we go in the house, I have to let you know that we have to be completely quiet when we go in there. We can't talk or anything.
Okay.
But we can listen to what goes on for a few minutes. What do you say about, you want to spend about 5 minutes in there listening to what's going on? And notice the mural and the chandelier, and most of that stuff dates back to the 1960s. Okay, because remember they made those rooms smaller.
No noise over there. No vision.
Sir, it's been unlocked every day. And the one day that I didn't unlock it, we'll go over to the Senate. It's locked. They're supposed to unlock the door, but they don't do it. All right, so we'll go over to the Senate. Over there.
Junior.
Thank you for the opportunity to get to speak to you all on this issue. Again, as was mentioned, for the opportunity to engage with you over this summer session, trying to answer all the questions you all have. This proposed language, the key changes, first, as we talked about when we talked about the requirements for waivers, that there are 5 requirements all students must meet in order to receive a waiver. The 6th has an A and B, option A, option B. In spirit, really neither of those changed too much. The option A, the workforce ready, the language was updated to, instead of having 3 different options within, to roll all that up into one industry certification. Option B is still the evidence-based process, and the student still has the opportunity to display evidence mastery of the content from other tests other than the GPE. The other option is to have the teacher have the same sign-off process from the teachers and the administrators, but also to have evidence of enrollment into a post-K-12 program. The list in this section is the same list that the SFA, what used to be SASE, uses to approve schools for the Mitchie Daniel Scholarship, for the Frank O'Bannon Scholarship. So the idea is that in addition to the teachers and the administrators signing off stating that the student is mastered the content, there's that post-secondary organization that is also saying, we believe that this student has mastered the content and is ready to take that next step with us. So you still have the workforce ready and evidence-based readiness. So that's the first. The second primary change has to do with the graduation plan. As I discussed in our first conversation, that all students are required to have a graduation plan that begins in 6th grade and is updated in the 9th grade. This adds language to the graduation plan requirements so that if a student fails the ECA at the end of 10th grade, when the counselor, the teachers, parents are required to revisit that graduation plan and discuss what is the plan to ensure that this student gets the necessary support to pass the ECA by the end of graduation, and to take into consideration what will they be taking that workforce ready track or that evidence ready track if they're not able to pass the ECA. So specifying that the counselor, the graduation plan, and other support individuals are involved in the conversations for this student as he or she moves through high school. And I believe those are the primary changes that are suggested in this language.
Are there any questions below? Does everybody understand what we're attempting to deal with those language?
Thank you. Well, my question is in regard with the workforce ready and evidence-based process and the national content. What other states have utilized what other best practices are there that required to particularly address students?
Yes, sir. On the option B, the language is similar to what the